All right, so I successfully built a pet follower mod. It's a cat, and it looks like this. Um, and I want to talk about that process, how I figured it out, and how I got there. So there's kind of a little bit to unpack here. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But basically, kind of the first thing that you're gonna want if you're gonna put a new pet in the game is you're gonna need some art. I created my own art uh, like this, and I'm gonna show you how I figured out that process. If you go to if you downloaded that file from the first video, the example mod, I've made a copy of it here. Inside of that folder, there is a source folder, resources, mobs. And so I took a look at this after running the example mod in the game, and I was like, well, if this is what it's reading to put the new mob in the game, then all I have to do is have kind of a copy of this as a reference layer and then build my art kind of in the same way. So the way to do that is first I looked at the properties of that file and I got the size, the dimensions, 384 by 320. Now you're gonna need this software, at least this is what I use, the Ace Sprite software, or I think it's called Libre Sprite. There's a free version of this program that I posted about in my first video, and I'll also put a link in this video for it. So this is the program I use. And so what I did was after I got the properties of that file and saw that it's 384 by 320, I created a new file that's 384 by 320. And then I go to layer, new reference layer, and then I imported that file to see, okay, this is what I need to use as a reference to draw like my cat over top of it, right? So what I did is you kind of need to also have frames just so you can have reference, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So I renamed this layer 1 into a frames layer, and so you just need to draw 64 by 64 is what I measured here, and you can see that on the bottom left, 64 by 64. And that is the size of each of these sprite layers. So I'm just going to go ahead and build this out. I want to show you the whole process. It may be a little bit tedious for some people, but I want you to understand how I figured this all out. So I'm going to make this as quick as I can. Just a basic frame layer. So these frames give me a point of reference of, how much room I have to draw each cat inside of. So now that I have my frames layer and my reference layer, I need to add one more layer. So layer, new layer, and I'll just call this layer I'll just call it pet. And so you can take this reference layer, go to properties, and then kind of make it kind of dim so you can see through it. And then all you got to do from there is start drawing your pet. I'm not going to go through that whole process, but this is how you kind of get started. And then you're just going to draw, make sure you have your pet layer selected. You're going to start drawing your animation frames. And you can see for reference here, this is facing that way. This is moving that way, moving that way. So all of these are movement frames. These are your idle frames. So idle facing forward, idle facing right, idle facing forward or backward or wherever you want to say it, and then idle facing left. And then these are your movement frames. And then this is like if your player is like running through some grass and you're not going to be able to see their feet, this is just what this layer is. So like, anyways, and that's all just logically how I figured it out. And then I just went through and drew my own, my own cat, my own pet inside of each of these frames. So, meow, I'm a beautiful cat. And then meow, I'm a moving beautiful cat. So yeah, after that, you just export it as a PNG, and then you're good to go. Another side note though, before you can export as a PNG, you want to save this as a sprite file. That's your project file. And then you can go to export. But before you export, you actually have to delete these reference frames. So you can just click on the one that says pet and then go to flatten. Now you can export as a PNG. Right? So anyways, oops, I shouldn't have flattened that because it also flattened the frame layers down. I should have deleted those other layers. Anyways, I'm getting away from the point here. You're going to need some art to put into the game. And that's how I figured that out. So anyways, here's the art. And then, of course, also a summon item, which is, I believe this is 32 by 32. And then let's start talking about the code. Now, I basically took the example project, and then you can see like in the other video, I deleted a bunch of stuff I didn't need. I like cut out all the stuff, and I said, all I want to do is edit a mob. So I'm going to pick up where I left off there and go over how I figured out how to make it a pet mob from there. So I have, let's look at the file structure first. We're going to need a few things. The cat pet mod is the package name. And then these are like sub packages. So like cat pet items and cat pet mobs. And you can see I'm importing those packages. I'd actually like to have that at the very top. So in my cat pet mod package, I'm actually importing my two sub packages, which include my two classes, my cat pet summon item and my cat pet mob. These are each, so cat pet summon item is just an extension of the pet follower placeable item class, which you have to import and then just make a public class out of it. That way you can, when you call this class in the cat pet mod file, you can give it these parameters, the mob type and the rarity, which is what I'm doing when I register the item. I'm just creating a new class. Mob type is cat pet mob, and the item rarity is common. So like this can actually get dropped, but I'm also registering it as a recipe that you can craft. I should make it worth like a lot of money too, so just people can get just rich off of it. Make it worth 1,000. So that's just a summon item class, but let's look at the cat pet mob itself. Now, I kind of searched high and low for the pet following mob class, and the cool thing about that the the IntelliJ IDE is you can look at if you double click on a extension, like if something extends something, if a class extends another class, you can highlight that class, right click, and then go to implementations. And so I said, where was this class used elsewhere? It was used for the pet parrot mob. So I can open that up, or that's not what I used. I used the penguin. So if I go to implementations and I look at the pet penguin mob, I can see how it was implemented. How was this used to create a pet? And you can see that it gets instantiated with these properties. These are all specific to the penguin, which I'll talk about later. And then an AI, and then all this other stuff, right? So what I did at first was I said, okay, this pet penguin was created using all of this code. So I copied this code over into my cat pet mob class that also extends the pet following mob. The only difference here is that I'm calling it cat pet mob and giving it its own settings and other things, right? The one thing that was kind of hard to figure out was if you look at the pet penguin mob, there's a textures pack that gets imported, and these are all base game textures, I believe, that are part of the default mob registry. So they're just calling textures.penguin, and I didn't want my cat to have a penguin texture. So I just kind of started playing around until I realized when you call the textures class, you can actually see what else it can do, and you can see that there's a dot. I was like, okay, there's a dot penguin. There's got to be something else. And I saw there's a method called from file. And so I said, okay, so I can just get my textures from a file. And I thought that I was going to have to get my textures from uh, the relative path. So that would be, resources slash mob slash cat pet mob dot png. Like I had that in there at first and it wasn't working. And I'm like, I'm giving it the path, so why is it complaining? Then I realized, again, if you right click here and you go to, let's say, declarations or usages, you can see that this method actually prepends the file path of mob slash whatever, right? So I didn't even need to put that. All I needed to put was cat pet mob, not even like .png. And then finally, it started actually drawing my animations. Well, then I realized that the penguin class has a resolution. The penguin sprite has a resolution of 32, and you can see that right here, the draw options. Sprite resolution is 32. Well, mine is actually 64, because when you looked back at that art I was showing you earlier, it's 64 by 64 square. So I actually had to update the sprite resolution to 64. And then another thing I noticed was yeah, not just right here, but also up here, the resolution, sprite resolution should be 64. So whatever your resolution is. And then here, I should really put some notes here. this is the position of the shadow later on. So since my sprite is 64, then that on the x-axis, 32 actually positions the shadow center on my sprite. But then this is the y position. So like this is from left to right, and this is from top to bottom. So I wanted the shadow to be just be kind of like a little bit under it. So I set it to 56 because the max would be 64. Um, and so that kind of got my shadow right where I wanted it. I didn't really mess with this at all. I probably could have messed around a bit. I did test out some different shadows. I wasn't able to really find one that I liked, so I just kept it on human baby shadow, which is just a little circle underneath you. And then this get rock speed changes the animation speed, which is kind of like relative to your actual movement speed. So you kind of got to play with this and this to get your animation frames looking smooth. So like you might change this to 15 and you might change this to like 40, but it just kind of gets your animation going. So anyways, I basically just made a copy of the pet penguin mob class and then changed it into the cat pet mob class and then connected my own textures and then changed my sprite resolution and changed my shadow positioning. And yeah, that's about it. I didn't actually even mess with the collision box, the hitbox, anything like that. Um, I might mess around and have it, my teleport distance, I might make that higher because I don't care if my pet lags behind me a little bit more than 480. Um, but yeah, anyways, that is the two like I call them subclasses, but these classes are what get imported into the main mod. So this is the main mod where it gets registered. So the first thing you have to do is register the mob. And in this case, the mob we're calling it the cat pet mob. And we're using the cat pet mob class that we created to register it. And then we're registering our cat summon item and telling it that when we use it, we should summon a mob type cat pet mob. And then we're also setting the value of it. I don't need that anymore. And then on the post in it, I'm just registering our mod recipe so that I can just craft this item. So the cat summon item, I want to be able to craft it. I could have swore I set this for workbench. Recipe tech registry should be workstation with 1 spruce log. So yeah, but aside from these, the pet mob class, summon item class, and then the actual mod, that's all you really need. And then the art, you need the art. Also, anywhere where you're using cat pet mob in your locale, you can register like this is kind of like the word that gets displayed in the game when this is referenced, right? And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Um, I'm trying to think. There was something else. Oh, later on, You're also going to need to have a preview.png if you want to publish this to the workshop. And I found out that's why I couldn't publish it for some reason. Okay. So if this was a little all over the place, I'm sorry, but that's all you need to do it. And I'll share this code as well. Actually, I'll share the zip file, the whole thing, and then people can just like, I don't know, add their own art and then be done with it. All right, so I'm gonna build the mod jar, and then run the client. I changed something. Now I don't even remember what I changed. It's okay though. So continue. And then we're gonna summon it. Here it is. I think I changed the how far away I can go before he teleports to me or something. He's so cute. Oh yeah, and then the value of it. I'm curious. Oh yeah, you see, used to summon Kitty. So it's the name of the thing in the game, right? I'm curious though. Is it? It doesn't tell you the value of it. I guess I did set it to like 1,000 though. So yeah, that's it, and I'll be sharing the code, and I really hope I see some more artists like actually putting some more pets in the game, because I'm not great at art. That's it. Cat summon item. I need to update that. So right here where it says cat summon item, I need to go to this. Item. Cat summon item equals sticker, cat sticker summoner. Or cat summoning sticker. So let's save that and just take a peek at it real quick, just to make sure that that actually registered. And let's just take a peek. Yep, cat summoning sticker. Used to summon kitty. So that's what that English language file is really for, to update like your references to items, to have like actual words instead of like weird dot whatever references. All right, so that's it. And I guess real quick, I'll show you that once you have tested your mod, you can go here, click on your mod, and click on upload to Steam Workshop. But before I do that, I actually need to update the version, because I did update a couple of little things. And that is going to be in the build.gradle file 1.1. I don't know where to put changes. like the change log, but whatever. All right, so let's build it again, and I'll just show you how to publish it to Steam. Just remember, all you need to do is have this preview.png as part of your resources folder. It should be at the root level of your resources folder. Then you can run the client. Also, I think you have to have already accepted the terms and conditions in the Steam Workshop, but I'll show you how that works. So you go back to your mods. My mod didn't load. Huh. I wonder why. Maybe because I updated the version to 1.1. Maybe it needs to be 1.01. Maybe I need to run a clean and then another build. And then run the client. Or maybe I actually have to test the mod in the game first. Okay, it's there now. Okay. So it was that clean. I had to run that cleaning task first. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and upload it because I have a new version. It's new content. And instead of doing create new item, I'm going to do cat pet mod so I can actually update it to a new version. So change log v1.01 updated ing.lang file. That's really all I did. Made sticker worth 1,000. Continue. I've already agreed to these terms, but you can always open that link and do it yourself. I did create this content. And there we go. It's been updated. And there we go. That's all I have for now, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.